Today's episode is brought to you by Taft Law and its Franchise Advance Program, a one-of-a-kind program developed by your host, Josh Brown, to help entrepreneurs assess, convert, and grow your business the right way through sound franchise structures. To learn more, go to taftlaw.com and type Franchise Advance Program in the search bar.
If you think like, act like, or are trying to grow like a franchise, then the Franchise Euphoria podcast is for you. Hello and welcome everybody. Josh Brown here, and I created this podcast for one main goal: to help people who are trying to grow their business through franchising or franchise-like structures to do it the right way. I've been practicing law now as a franchise lawyer for many, many years, and I've seen it done the right way and the wrong way. And this podcast is not filled with a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Rather, I talk with real people, people who have been there, have done it, are doing it right now. And I also dive deep into specific topics related to franchising. So if this is of interest to you, you are at the right place. Enjoy. Welcome back to Franchise Euphoria. Thrilled today to have on Michelle Dacy and also Steve Greenbaum. Michelle is the founder and president of Tootl Transport, and Steve is a board member, advisor, and investor. Hello, Michelle and Steve, and welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, great. Thank you.
Doing great.
Well, Michelle, we'll start with you. You and your husband, Tom, have worked in this industry and I believe developed, this business many years ago. And I always like to start off the show by, talking to the founder and your role now as president and talk about, sort of your history and how you got involved with this business that you've been involved with, I believe, for over 20 years at this point.
Yes, a long time. It's a wonderful industry. It has been over 20 years. I was initially doing a startup for a gentleman who was launching a business in accessible transportation. And then eventually, after a decade, I branched out on my own. I wanted a little bit different focus, more on quality of the service. And I've had my own business now for 12 years.
Well, and it's a really interesting, we'll talk about the franchise component of it here in a few minutes, but talk specifically, Tootl Transport, you guys provide transportation for seniors and for special needs individuals. Talk a little bit about how the business actually works and the services that are, specifically provided.
Yes, that's a great summary, exactly what we do. We're transportation for people with mobility and cognitive challenges. And that can be thought of very simply as people going to and from medical appointments is what first comes to mind. But it is also people going to family gatherings, conventions, haircuts, shopping, any need where somebody would have a use for special transportation where they want door-through-door service that's safe and secure if they have a physical or cognitive challenge.
Steve, you are a veteran in the franchise world, very well known, been involved in a lot of different opportunities and businesses. How did you meet Michelle and Tom?
Yeah, well, I think Michelle tells this story better, but Michelle and a close friend who works in the franchise industry for years have talked about her business. And then one interesting day they got to talking and Michelle asked the question, which was, would franchising be something that would be right for me? And her friend said, yeah, I think it would. And her friend asked her boss, who happens to be Brad Fishman, who is one of the founders with Sherry Fishman of Fishman PR, and a dear friend of mine, and came to me and said, what are your thoughts on the business? So we took a deep dive. We looked at the performance of Michelle's business in Chicago over that 12-year period was exceptional. And one of the things that I asked before we would even consider franchising was, let's take this model to another state, to a market where you don't have any experience. Let's even operate it remotely if we have to. And let's operate this for a period of time, which happened to be through COVID, to ensure that the model we're franchising is solid, we operate it well, and it's replicable. And that's what brought us to franchising.
Well, it's really good. It's really good advice, and I know we won't belabor the point here because you have a lot of experience. But obviously, Steve, you come from a background where you've worked with a lot of different franchise brands. You've started different franchises. You've been a part of the franchise community, and one of the things that, the listeners, to this show, it's franchisees, it's franchisors, it's people contemplating the franchise process. One of the things that I think is a common theme is that you can have a great business, but in order to ensure that it's really repeatable and franchisable, one of the best things you can do is have multiple locations open and operating for a period of time sufficient to which you can prove out the model. And I think that is, really kind of at the heart of what you were just saying. Has that always been your approach in the franchise world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that, and that's a critical element, because at the foundation of any great franchise company is a great business model and good unit economics, good to great unit economics. So this definitely had that. But more importantly, a lot of people enter franchising, they use consultants and advisors, and they find themselves in a franchise business with a franchise disclosure document, and now what? And so I feel very strongly that the foundation for the franchise organization, the manuals, the system, the ability to train and teach and support, and the funding of the franchisor, that's part two, which is a huge challenge and opportunity in today's world, where folks that are getting into franchising, they have to be well capitalized, because as you grow, you need to build more infrastructure, invest more in technology and people, and you have to be ready to support the business and the brand to scale, because that's what franchising is all about.
Well, and Michelle, I mean, from the time that you launched this in 2012 to now, right? I mean, there's been so much that has advanced with technology, and in that period of time, you have the Ubers and the Lyfts and all these transportation type services that in a certain part are obviously built off of a technology type base, but the industry itself has really, I feel like, been transformed over these last, 10 years or longer. I'm curious from your perspective, when you first launched to today, what your thoughts are on sort of the advancements in technology and just how it sort of impacted your business.
Yes, I used to use legal pads and pens and binders, maybe scratching on a cave wall or two. So I've definitely come a long way from that. Technology is making things much easier and much more efficient. We are actually in the process of launching Tootl Go, which is our customized software platform. And that's going to make this very simple business model, as easy to operate business. I'm at a loss for adjectives, but I guess very, very easy and efficient.
Well, and Steve, you had mentioned opening in another location. So did you guys open another sort of area in Illinois, or did you go to a whole nother state?
Yeah, no, we went to Wisconsin because it's close enough to oversee, but far enough to be a market without familiarity, day-to-day familiarity. So opened that second business in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as I mentioned, during COVID, and its performance has been incredible. And on that technology piece, and you mentioned Uber and other rides, I wanted to say that what's unique about this business, what attracted me, was this is door through door. These folks aren't showing up on someone's curb. They're coming into the home or the facility to help those folks out of the building, into the car, and then back into their destination. And so it's unique in the fact that while this is powered by technology, this is also a very human business where the needs of the customer are met right where they need them to be met.
Well, and so much about expanding, to another location. Every business that's ever done it always runs into challenges, or opportunities for improvement, I will say, and I'm sure that you guys are no different. And I think for the folks who listen to this, I always hear from people that it's very instructive and helpful to hear from other businesses who have gone through those challenges and how they met those challenges and what they sort of learned from them. So, I'd like for both of you, if you're willing, Michelle and Steve, to kind of talk about, going from that first to second location, some of those challenges that you had to work through, on top of the fact that you were going in a totally different state. It is close by, but certainly a totally different state. Maybe, Michelle, you can lead off and talk about what that was like for you. I mean, I'm sure that was a little bit out of your comfort zone, and, talk about, what that process was like.
Yes. So I was all Chicago. That's the market I know. But I also knew that we had a formula that can be replicated and very easy to operate. And it was absolutely a great call to have us do that in a new market. And we went to Milwaukee. The timing was wonderful. It was right at the start of COVID. So we were operating then and doing it part-time because we're in Chicago, doing it remotely. But it was very helpful to open a new place and be able to organize all the systems that I've been doing to make it easy formula for a franchisee to follow. And despite all those strange things with COVID and remote and part-time, we did great. It's very exciting.
Steve, how about you from your perspective? I mean, you've been down this road before, but still, working with, Michelle and her husband and their team. I mean, it's unique. Every business is unique. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, Michelle and Tom are classic founders, so they never had a lack of confidence in the business model, their ability to replicate it, their ability to execute. That was great. What I would say to you is what the learning is here, and this is, I hope for the folks that are listening, valuable, is that you can't do it all. And so Tom and Michelle were continuing to run their business in Chicago and building Tootl Milwaukee. Tom was, going out on a fairly regular basis, meeting with prospective referral sources and case managers at hospitals and all of the folks that use our services to keep us top of mind and, out there in the community. And we got to a point with the business's growth and the needs of the business in Milwaukee, we had to make a hire. And so, the point I'm making is what you learn very quickly is you can't do it all, and you have to be prepared to invest in people and make the necessary investments to create the scale that you're looking for when you decide to either be multi-unit or franchise a brand. And so I think the learnings for them more than anyone else, and for hopefully folks on the phone, is you can limit yourself if you're not willing and able to invest in the people you need to grow the business.
Yeah, it's always a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge because, as you build a business, and Michelle, you can relate to this, you're scrapping and clawing and you're throwing a lot of things up against the wall and seeing what's sticking. And if it sticks, you continue to do it. And if it doesn't, maybe you move on to something else. And you're used to wearing all the hats. And then to Steve's point, you reach a point where you're just, you hopefully realize that there's only 24 hours in a day. You got to have other people not only to come help you advance those tasks, but what's amazing too, that I routinely hear and know from experience, is that, when you get other smart people in the same room, it's amazing how you can double and triple your efficiencies and your processes. And you don't always, you can kind of take that load off your shoulders of always having to have the answers, right? I mean, is that what you experienced, Michelle?
Everything you just said, I'm nodding my head. Yes.
Yeah, and it can be when you get the right partners and everything, you get the right team, it can just exponentially, help you not only in your day to day, but in your growth. One of the things that I was thinking as you guys were speaking in terms of, launching the second location during COVID is, I got to imagine, I mean, the bulk of those trips was probably was it to hospitals or to physical therapy, or was it it had to be to sort of essential places where these folks had to go. Is that right?
Yes. The family gatherings definitely dipped, but critical medical appointments, people had to go. There was a lot of different protocols in place, especially going into residential facilities, but the service is still needed.
Well, so now you're into the franchise model, and I know you guys are. What I like about this is you guys are brand new into the franchise model. So we're you guys are working through all of this, right now. You're in Illinois, you're in Wisconsin, and Steve, are there any franchise locations that are open yet?
Yeah, no, there aren't. We are literally this week. I mean, we are just now launching the franchise portion of our business just now. Haven't even begun with recruiting prospective franchisees. Haven't implemented our campaigns yet. So this is right on the cusp of launching. What's amazing, by the way, is we receive 15, 20 inquiries a week for this business, just out of some of the PR we've done, some of the programs we've done like this. You had made a comment earlier, and I just want to touch on it. This is a really tight, succinct business model filling a very specific need. So I have not encountered this business kind of jumbling around, trying to try things and make them work and fix things. They've got this thing so tight and right that it's actually absolutely incredible how efficient and how effective the model is, which again was part of the impetus and the confidence in franchising.
No, that's great. And I think that, I love these niche type businesses. I mean, there's a huge market for this, right? I mean, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of distinguishing factors between this and typical, transportation, companies. As you guys get into franchising right now, are you looking outside of Illinois and Wisconsin, or are you focusing on Illinois and Wisconsin right now and then going to grow out from there?
Yeah, I'd say because of some of the folks on this team, Jeff Matthews, Brad Fishman, we're all seasoned franchise veterans. We're extremely comfortable with reaching out much wider than, this is not a young, inexperienced team trying to figure out how to do this. So we're very confident casting a wide net. We've registered in the majority of registration states now and are very comfortable expanding the franchise program. As I said to you before, the issue is resources. And that's where franchise companies getting started that don't have the depth on the bench that we do struggle. So we have the resources, we have the experience, and so there's no reason not to bring this brand to market and to offer opportunities throughout the country.
Well, and you touched upon something, Steve, just a moment ago about, the PR and the marketing and the people who are reaching out. And for so many new franchisors, part of, they wonder, how do you reach out? How do you find the right people? And we know that, I think a part of that in marketing, or getting the brand out there is knowing who your ideal franchisee is. So, either Michelle or Steve, whoever, or both of you, I love your input on, who is the ideal type of franchisee that you guys are looking for this concept.
Yeah, let me take it, and Michelle can add on if she'd like. So you might find this interesting, but there's a large segment of potential franchisees that already exist in healthcare. So anyone that works with referral sources now, anyone that works with case managers, hospitals, any of the various places where we receive the bulk of our referrals is if you're a home care franchisee, if you're a home health franchisee, if you have, memory care facilities, if you're in the senior world at all, this is a simple business that you can integrate wouldn't integrate it into your home care model, but you can acquire this as another business and expand your potential exponentially, because you don't have to go out and start building relationships in the community. You've already have them. From there, you find that people that have a knack for or a passion for healthcare, senior care, and people that love to serve, people that want to give back to their community, love to serve. Even in the senior business, what you find are a lot of people that had a family member, a relative, had or have, that had physical or cognitive challenges, and it was difficult to get them from where they needed to be. And so people will connect emotionally with this business because it has such a huge service component. And the right people for that are detail-oriented. They're definitely very community-minded, very comfortable in their own skin with being out in the community, meeting and networking. You don't have to own a senior care or a healthcare business. It's an incredible leg up, but you have to be very extroverted and willing to be out there sharing who we are and what we do. Michelle, anything you want to add to that?
You said everything very eloquently. A good heart. I mean, you've got it.
Is the idea behind the franchise, because I want to take our remaining few minutes here and talk about the actual, offering itself, or not the offering, but the actual, how the business model actually works. And so when a franchisee comes in, are they essentially purchasing a van that's detailed a certain way, or multiple vans, depending on, if they're looking at different types of territories, or what's when somebody comes into this franchise system, what are they purchasing?
Yeah, that's actually the beauty and probably the most important point in this business. They're purchasing the right to operate as Tootl in a particular territory using our system and trademarks. There's no special equipment. They have no they need a computer and a phone. Most of them will be home based. We have built and have relationships and have a model where we partner with existing drivers and territories. Most people don't understand the depth of the non-emergency medical transportation business, or NEMT, and it's significant and it's fragmented and it's small independents with 1 to 3 or 4 vehicles. Then you've got people with 5 to 10 vehicles, and then there are huge companies. And where we have an incredible leg up, and why this model is so cool, is because we can offer these folks better compensation than they're getting now. We pay them more frequently, and typically they have gaps in their calendar and schedule that we can fill for them. So we're not just filling a unique need at the franchisee or at the customer level. We have a model that empowers these small business owners that have these vehicles to boost their business. Michelle can talk a little bit about that if you want to add on, Michelle.
Yeah, you're definitely touching on it. These small operators, there's 4 key things why this is such a great franchise opportunity. What we're doing for the clients, the organizations that are looking for reliable, safe transportation for their patients. The small business owners, like Steve said, the independents that are driving have a passion, but we're putting it together from a business perspective for them. And they're being very well compensated. They're quite well respected. It's a very nice relationship. There are, in Chicago, where I've been operating for 20 years, I have drivers I've been working with for the entire 20 years, a large amount, mostly over a decade.
That's incredible.
It's definitely incredible.
So some of these drivers are earning over
not coming and going. We're building right along with them. And then you add on, you get the clients, these small operators, the families we service, and the passengers themselves.
What were you saying, Steve?
No, some of Michelle's drivers have been with her for years and earn over 6 figures. And it's because we become the marketing engine for them. They have no cost to sale. They have no marketing cost. They obviously have their vehicle cost, but the point being is a lot of these folks are highly capable, highly trained professionals, but it's difficult for them as well for customer acquisition in today's day and age. And so with our technology, with our marketing power, we are really sort of an engine for those folks. And just if you're wondering, we do have safety requirements, and we do have vehicle requirements, and we do have policies and procedures to ensure they're being followed.
So what's interesting is it sounds like, and it's using their vehicle. So there's not, you guys don't have vehicles that are, that have lifts on them, or do you? Is it them using, the drivers using their vehicles, or are you equipping them with vehicles?
Yeah, I'll take that, Michelle. It's them using their vehicles. They're paying their own insurance, their own gas. It's them using their own vehicles. So this model is incredible. It's why I'm involved. It's why some of the other team members are involved, because this is a very low investment level. It's territory based. There's very little risk. There's a built-in market for service, and the standards of service are all over the place. So we have the ability to come in with a solid technology platform with a ton of franchise experience, and to improve all aspects of the customer experience, the folks we're impacting through the vehicles. It's really unique.
Well, if you want to learn more about this concept, you can go to ridetootl.com. That's ride, R-I-D-E, Tootl, Tootl.com. Is that the best place to go to find out information about the model and franchising, or is there any other information you guys want to pass out?
Yeah, no, I think that's the best place to start. From there, you'll find a host of resources and places to go from there. And anybody that's interested can feel free to reach out. And whether they do that through your program or however they want to, we'll be happy to tell them more about it.
All right, one final question for each of you. And so I just want to know, if I'm talking to you a year from now, where do you hope to be with this brand? I mean, you guys might have similar responses, but I'd love to hear each of your responses, when we can start with Steve and then finish with Michelle.
Okay. It's funny. I'm very conservative when it comes to folks investing hard-earned money and time in our business. So my simplest goal is to identify 2025 quality candidates, put them in business throughout the year, continue to build our team, shore up everything so that the foundation is exactly where it needs to be before we think about any kind of massive growth or scale. There's no doubt in my mind that a lot of opportunity is going to come at us very quickly with respect to folks that want to be involved. The margins, the unit economics are too good, but I really believe this is a foundational year. Let's get it done. Let's get it right. Let's get some great franchisees in the ground. Let's build some great foundational markets. And then we can talk about, how we want to go and grow. But right now it's all about doing it right, serving the franchisee, serving the customer, and laying the right foundation for the brand.
Michelle?
Yeah, I'll just add these franchise legends that I'm working with, I'm going to be following their lead as we move forward. Everything Steve said, from my perspective, myself and my husband, Tom, we're extremely excited to get this moving forward. We are making sure that we have a formula that's easy to follow, a training program that's very simple. Everything is detailed from what we've been doing over the years to move forward and be successful in this business.
Well, I'm excited to continue to follow what you guys do, because, it is not every situation where, when you go and turn into a franchise that you have this level of experience and expertise on your side, Michelle. So that's huge. That's a fantastic thing for you all. And I love the model, the senior care business, transportation business. Obviously, it's continuing to grow. And so I think you guys are going to have some good years ahead of you. And thank you for taking the time at this early outset, right? You're just now franchising, which is really cool, to come on to Franchise Euphoria, share your story. And we'll definitely follow up with you, over the next year and see how things go.
That'd be great. Please do.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Franchise Euphoria. If you enjoyed it, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. It really helps to get this show out to more and more people. Also, if you have any questions, have ideas for guests or topics, please email me, josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. That's Josh at franchiselaw.com. And finally, please note that this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes and is not in any way, shape, or form meant to be any kind of legal advice. If you're seeking legal advice, please contact a lawyer. Have a great one. Happy franchising.